Welcome back, Marvel Strike Force fans. If you are anything like me, you are constantly juggling your resources, trying to make every piece of gold and training material count towards maximizing your roster. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the income, the resource income economy, how it is, and how we're going to plan out for December 2024. How are we going to finish this year strong in Marvel Strike Force? And if you want to know how I'm going to do that, then join me in this video. What is going on, everyone? I'm BPG and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I make at least 2 Marvel Strike Force videos every single week, usually based around the events within the game. However, sometimes I get to add content exactly like this. So if you find the content in this video helpful, please do consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss another BPG upload. And without further ado, let's get into Build Positively with BPG. This is a gold income review and character building strategy and a little bit more. A full income review. And what we're going to do for December 2024. Now, I want to start this off by saying one thing. Marvel Strike Force, this is your game. It is your rules. This is just my advice to you all, trying to go over how I've gotten to where I am in the game without spending a penny, really. I'm completely free to play. Been playing the game for just over 2 years now, but this is your game. And you play it by your rules. If there is a certain character that you want to level up, you can do that. Just note that you will not be keeping up with the game's meta, and the more characters that you level up that you want to level that are outside of that meta, the further behind in the game you will fall. But that is if you're worried about keeping up with the meta. If you're not, and you're just worried about collecting your favorite Marvel heroes and building them up and playing with them, that's great too. So what does Build Positively mean? Well, to me, it is building my roster while staying within the constraints of the game and being free to play. And a little bit about that, really. It's basically how I go about my roster building, how I go about playing the game, the ethos I play the game by. What do we need to know? Well, we need to know our resource income, and we also need to know the character release schedule. And with this, we can come up with a strategy of how we are going to build our characters the best way to keep up with the meta, because that's what I want to do personally. I want to be able to keep up with the current Marvel Strike Force meta without having to put up, my hand in my pocket and spend real world cash on getting resources for this mobile game. And who is this for? Well, this is mostly for mid to end game players. Obviously, that's where I'm at the moment. However, this strategy can be employed in the earlier games. It'll be employed slightly differently. So let's get into our resource incomes and a bit of a gold income recap. So in July, when we did our Build Positively, our gold income was 264 million gold, which gave us roughly 8.5 million gold that we could spend a day. August was another good month, 263 million gold. Again, that roughly 8.5 million gold to spend per day. September was an absolutely banging month. That was 291 million gold, giving us nearly 10 million gold a day to spend because of the 30 days in September. And our October balance was 288 million gold over the 31 days, which gave us just over 9 million gold per day to spend. So that's a little bit of where we've been. We've got to understand that. Where were we in November? Now, I see a lot of this on videos with people saying that the gold economy is not very good. And this is the figures, guys. This is all free to play. You're welcome to take a screenshot and show this, but I mark this every single day. So every single day at reset. And when I say reset, I'm talking about when the golden opportunity milestone resets, which is usually the server reset as well. I go in and I take an account of all the incomes that we have, all the resources we have coming into the accounts. And it's very, very simple. I take my starting balance. That is what I have from the day before generally. I take the gold that I've spent during that day off. So that you can get from looking on the golden opportunity from the day that you do it. So you can just have a look at that and take that off. And then I put my finishing balance in, and that is giving us our gold income. And as you can see here, for November, we had a massive 304 million gold. Now, I will caveat this. I did have, you'll see there, that bottom one on the 30th of November, I had a gold income of 31 million gold. Now, that was including the war season payout and a very, very lucky, no, it wasn't the war season payout, sorry, but it was including a very, very lucky 25 million gold drop from a mega gold orb that I had earned from Dark Dimension 8. And now I haven't been the first content creator to do this. Big shout out to Rage, a fellow free-to-play player and content creator. I'm going to leave links to his channel and his video down below. He has been doing this for over 12 months now, tracking this. And it was actually his video that gave me the idea to do this video and go into it in greater depth that I did. And here is his gold update 1 year later. And I've been tracking his gold. And you can see here that he is tracking fairly similarly to myself in the months that we have been tracking our gold. And now we're going to take a look at the training material income for October. Now in October, we had about 140 million gold's worth of training materials coming in. If we take the fact that you really want to level your characters up to level 100, that costs you 23.4 million gold. So characters that you could fully level with those training materials available in October was 6.1 characters, or 6.01 characters, so 6 characters. November, how did that look for us? Now, we got 163 million gold's worth of training materials coming in November. Again, with our 23.4 million gold needed to level a character from level 1 to level 100, we are looking at 6.98, so nearly 7 characters with that. Now, this has been a bit lower the past 2 months, and that is mostly because in September we had that big error with the pocket dimension where you could run it every single day and get the node rewards, and there was a lot of training materials on there. So I did expect this to happen. You know, obviously they had to level out the training materials from what we had in September. So you can see here that we are roughly getting nearly 7 characters worth of training materials coming in to the account, and our gold income is way outstripping what we are getting into our accounts for training materials. What about our T4 income? Again, same thing. I do the training materials exactly the same way as well. I've got a starting balance, a spent, and then a finishing balance, and I do the same with this. So my T4s, you will see here that I've actually overspent my T4s from last month. I've spent 6,220 T4s and only a income of 5,045 coming in. That is going to be a problem sooner rather than later. And later on in the video, we will go over why I believe that problem is coming. You need 840 T4s to do all the T4s on a character. So the total characters that you could fully T4 in November was 6. So that's around about the same amount of characters that we could level up in a month. So that is quite good. That's showing that that is fairly balanced. Power core income, another big one. Now, I have recently got Odin, and that has meant that I've been able to stay within the top 10 of my arena shard, bringing in those 500 cores every single day. And you'll see here exactly the same way as I do the gold income, the training material income, the T4 income. It is literally the starting balance as of 9 PM at the moment in the UK, generally 10 PM. And then, but 9 PM it is at the moment due to the time zones. I then put down how many power cores I've spent during the day and my finishing balance, and that gives me my income of power cores. And you can see here that the power core income is actually really good at the moment. We are looking at 20,000 power cores coming into the account if you are in the top 10 of your arena shard. So that is why arena is really important. Okay, so we have the free-to-play character releases. Let's take a look at these, and this is the newest team that is coming to the game, the Absolute A-Force. Now, our free-to-play character release schedule, I have been monitoring this since basically December 2023. That was my cutoff point with Extreme X-Men. They were what I would call the first official 2024 team, purely because we had Sunspot and Forge available in 2024, and the only new character from that team was Nightcrawler that was right at the end of December. You'll see here we have the dates released for offers stroke power cores, the free-to-play release events, and then the initial days between the initial release. And that's the initial releases for power core offer and offers. And this is slowly coming down. So we've got our Extreme X-Men here, our Hive Mind, our Out of Time, our Cabal, our Spider Society. Now, Spider Society is probably, maybe Cabal would be about as far back as I would be willing to go at the moment. I know you have to build Out of Time for Old Man Logan. I know that Extreme X-Men are very good. I know Hive Mind are very good. But you're going to want to put as minimal resources into some of these older teams now as possible. And the only reason why I say that is because there will be new teams coming. And if you're still piling max resources into these old teams, you're going to start getting to the point where you're not going to be able to keep up with the game. So then we have the Mercs for money. These are needed for the latest legendary event, Trial of the Shadow King. We then have Alpha Flight. Now, this is possibly a team that I would now look at skipping. I would definitely build the Spider Society, but Alpha Flight is possibly a team I would look at skipping now because of the fact that where they're needed to is the Spotlight raids, and there are jungle drums that a new Spotlight raid is on the horizon. We have Illuminati. This is needed for, again, for the Shadow King trial, so a must build. And then we hit the new stat era, the Ares release, which unfortunately, if you weren't around for that, you might be waiting a little while to get him now. But he was a released through the battle passes, so a different system. And he was the start of the new, what we call the new stat meta. We then have the Annihilators. These guys are all going to be farmable very soon. Orcus, not farmable at the moment, but they are the next team that are coming out to be farmable. Night Stalkers, who probably won't be too far behind the Orcus team for farmability. Then we have the Zombie team, because we had the new Zombie for November. And now again, this is a team that you could possibly skip if you weren't around during this time to get Zombie Scarlet Witch. And then the most recent team, which is the Astral team, which is a Battle World and War team, but mostly a team for Battle World. And finally, the newest team on the block coming out with Kahori coming out on the 4th of December. We have the Absolute A-Force. Now, we're going to look at this initial release column here. And based on the initial releases in November 2024, our average days between initial releases is down to 9.8 days. Now, previously that has been 10 days. I know that is only a 0.2 difference. However, that is coming down quite quickly, and we need to look at this. So this is the most recent releases. This is from Orcus onwards, and there are two issues with this. Firstly, we are looking at the 8 and 9 days here between releases. The other thing we need to look at is the problem that we are having as free-to-play players. Now, this second column here is the difference between free-to-play releases. And you'll see here, free-to-play releases, we have from the 17th of November. That was her free-to-play event. So that was when you would have definitely been able to unlock her. We have Man-Thing on the 29th of November. We had Ancient One on the 24th of November. And Shadow King on the 22nd of November. So in a 12-day period, we potentially would have unlocked 4 new characters free to play. And that seems to be the thing. If you're not coring, you're going to be getting bunches of characters turn up in your account that you're going to unlock, and you're almost going to struggle to build those characters if you are not careful with your resources. So I love this picture here. It goes into what goes into making a strategy. So we need to think about a strategy, we need to plan a strategy, and then we need to manage a strategy. Now, I'm not asking you to go all the way back to my first Build Positively video where we came up with the initial strategy, but we've just thought about what's going to go into our strategy because we've just gone over all the resource income and all the character releases. So we know what data we're working with. So now we can plan this strategy. So let's take a look at the character building strategy for November 2024 and also December 2024. And again, those of you who have watched Build Positively before will know this by now, but we are now in the car showroom. And some of you who are new to this video might go, BPG, why? Why are you in a car showroom? Well, this is because the analogy between cars and characters in Marvel Strike Force are very, very similar. As soon as you buy a car in, a car showroom and you drive it off the forecourt, that car starts to depreciate in value. And the same can be said about characters in Marvel Strike Force. As soon as a character is released in Marvel Strike Force, on their initial release, so their Power Core release, as soon as that character is released, its use in the game starts to depreciate. So we need to come up with a strategy to build these characters as quickly as possible to get the maximum amount of use out of them. So this is the strategy that we came up with on the very first Build Positively. So day one, once we unlock the character, we're going to take that character to level 70 and gear tier 13 at a cost of 4.6 million gold. We're then going to level our new character to level 80 on the next day and gear tier 15. That's going to cost us 4.6 million gold. We're then going to take our character and level them to level 90 gear tier 17. That costs us 5.8 million gold. We're then going to take our new character, level them to 95 and gear tier 18. That's going to cost us 4.5 million gold. And finally, our 6.5 million gold is taking our character and leveling them to level 100. Now, level 100 gear tier 18 currently for anything new would be the minimum I would be looking at. Gear tier 19 is an addition on top of that. The next 5 days from that 10-day period, we can spend 6 million gold a day on either working on old characters, but there is a caveat to working on old characters, and that is the fact that you need to be mindful of your training materials. Or we're going to buy materials from the gold store for the latest Dark Dimension, or as is currently, buying materials in these new stores, this Snow Globe store and the Turkey store, and buying materials from those stores that are going to help you massively to prepare for what is coming up down the line. So our Gold income in November was 304 million gold. Over the 30 days in November gave us 10 million gold per day to spend if we wanted to. So you can see here, I can do all of this in my strategy and I'm still within my budget of 10 million gold per day. However, what is going to constrain me is the training materials. 10 million gold per day or 300 million gold. I only had 163 million gold worth of training materials coming in. So this is where I'm saying you have to be very, very mindful of what you have coming in the training materials to make that all balance out. So I went for a very bold strategy last month. This was what I was planning on doing for November. I knew I was going to unlock Odin. I knew that the Astral team was coming. I knew I had to work on the Night Stalkers, and I knew Zombie Scarlet Witch for the Undying team was coming. But that was very, very bold of me. 234 million gold worth of training materials was needed to be able to do that. And as you know, from our tracking there, we didn't get that come into the account. So what did we end up doing? We ended up actually doing Odin. Day I unlocked him, I took him to level 100 in gear tier 19. We also took the Astral team members to 95 and gear tier 18, with the exception of Emma Frost. She only got to 90 and gear tier 18. And we also took Blade from 1 to level 100 in the gear tier 19, and that was to help me in the Shadow King trials. So there I had spent a total of 126 million gold worth of training materials. Arguably, I could have spent more training materials here. You know, I still had a deficit of 40 million, so I could have bought another character up to level 100 and gear to 18, which would have been Oath or Man Thing, one of the two. But I want to keep a slight surplus of my training materials because there is rumors around the corner of what is coming up, and we're going to need to have some training materials on hand to deal with that. And as you can see here, we had the 163 million, so that fell within my budget that I had. That is why I fell short on what my plan was originally. Now, I want to leave you with this little caveat here. If you are always looking backwards, you'll never move forwards. Marvel Strike Force will punish you if you keep looking backwards at characters. If you're building too far into the past, you're never going to move forwards in the game, and you're never going to catch up with the meta. And that is, again, up to you whether you want to stay within the meta or not. What are the benefits of staying within the meta? Well, the benefits of staying within the meta are the fact that you'll be able to get through things like Dark Dimension a lot quicker, because those newer characters will be able to pile through sections of Dark Dimension a lot quicker than the older characters would do, especially when you're getting up to the higher level Dark Dimensions like Dark Dimension 6 and Dark Dimension 7. You will also be able to, I don't want to say catch up, but you will also be able to slightly compete in things like Arena, Cosmic Crucible, War, all of those things that will allow your alliance to rise or yourself to rise up in the rankings, getting more resources into your account. And that is what is important. So again, a bit like surfing, you don't want to be chasing after a wave. You want to catch a wave, follow it in, go back out and catch the next wave. And 2025 is the perfect time to start that if you are looking at doing this reset like I've done this year. So let's look at my build strategy for December. So here we have what we are looking at. Now I've got what I would like to do and then what I'm realistically going to do. So realistically, my next few days are basically building Emma Frost and Doctor Strange and Moondragon and Ancient One and Shadow King all up to level 100 and their respective gear tiers. We are then going to start working on Oath and Man Thing and finishing them off for the Night Stalkers and Zombie Scarlet Witch. And then we will be caught up. We've then got Wasp, Ironheart and Kahori, who we're going to work on, and Miss Marvel Classic and Medusa in all senses of the word are probably going to get kicked over into January's build. Again, this is all going to depend on the amount of training materials that we have coming into the account, and we can adjust and manage our strategy based on that information. Okay, so there you have it. That is what I am going to be doing in December. Why not let me know in the comments down below what you're working on at the moment on your roster. Let me know what you think of all this information and how you would manage my account if you were me. Don't forget, if this video has helped you, please consider giving it a like and maybe even share it with some of your alliance mates. And until next time, everyone, build positively.